December 27, 1944. The Ardennes forest, Belgium, southeast of Bastogne, near the village of Marvy. A narrow dirt road cuts through frozen trees. On the northern side, concealed behind a stone wall half collapsed from shelling, 12 American soldiers lie in a shallow depression. Their rifles are aimed across the road. The distance to the opposite tree line is 40 meters. Visibility is poor. Fog sits low and the light is failing. At 15:47 hours, movement becomes visible through the trees on the southern side. Figures in Feldgrau, German infantry. They are walking slowly, not advancing in assault formation. They move from left to right across the American line of sight. 10 men, then more. 15, 20. The Americans do not move. No one shifts position. No one coughs. Breath is controlled. The rifles remain steady. Safety's off. The Germans are within effective range. They are exposed. They are unaware. The sergeant commanding the position lies at the center of the wall. His eyes track the German column. His rifle is aimed. His finger rests on the trigger. He does not fire. He does not give the order to fire. The Germans keep walking. The American unit is a composite squad drawn from the 101st Airborne Division, mixed with stragglers from other units that converged during the chaotic German offensive. They have been in this position since the previous afternoon, tasked with observing the road and reporting enemy movement. They have no heavy weapons, no machine gun, just rifles, 1 bay-khabar, and limited ammunition. The stone wall offers minimal cover, but good concealment. The Germans on the opposite side of the road are moving laterally, not toward the American position. They are not conducting a patrol. They are not sweeping the area. They are simply moving, likely relocating from one sector to another or withdrawing from an engagement further east. The fog and fading light work in favor of concealment for both sides. Neither group has detected the other. The Americans saw the Germans first, but only barely. The column emerged from the tree line without warning. There was no time for preparation, no opportunity to withdraw. The Americans were already in position when contact occurred. Standard procedure in this situation would be to engage if the enemy presented a clear threat or a clear target of opportunity. The Germans are armed. They are moving through contested territory. They are legitimate combatants. Engaging them would be justified under the rules of engagement. The squad has the element of surprise. They have positional advantage. At this range, they could inflict casualties before the Germans could effectively return fire. But the sergeant has not given the order. The squad waits. The Germans continue moving through the trees, their shapes visible intermittently through gaps in the fog. They are not running. They are not taking cover. They are walking as if the road were theirs. No one on the American side speaks. No one moves. The tension is total. The soldiers in this squad are not inexperienced. Several were present at Normandy. Others jumped into Holland during Market Garden. They have been trained for exactly this type of encounter. The doctrine is clear ambush is most effective when initiated at close range against an unsuspecting target. Maximum effect, minimal exposure. You wait until the enemy is committed to a position where they cannot easily retreat or take cover. Then you open fire in a coordinated volley. The first shots determine the outcome. The squad has rehearsed this many times. Even without formal orders, The procedure is understood. The lead riflemen engage first. The bayar opens up immediately after, providing suppressive fire. The remainder of the squad focuses on targets of opportunity. Reload discipline is maintained. You do not waste rounds. You do not fire blindly. Every shot is aimed. In previous engagements, the sequence unfolded automatically. A target appeared. The squad leader gave a signal, sometimes verbal, sometimes a hand gesture, sometimes just a nod. The firing began. It lasted seconds or minutes depending on the situation, but it always began. The Germans, moving along the opposite side of the road, fit every criterion for engagement. They are within range. They are unaware. They are presenting themselves as targets in sequence, one after another, moving through a predictable corridor. The ambush is practically set up for them. All that remains is the decision to fire. The squad expects that decision to come. They are waiting for it. Fingers are on triggers. Breathing is shallow. Eyes are fixed on the targets. Muscles are tense, ready to absorb recoil. The moment stretches. It should have happened by now. The first German has already passed. The second, the third. The optimal moment is slipping away. Still, no order comes. The sergeant does not move his rifle. He is aiming at the fifth man in the column. A clear shot. The German's profile is visible for 2 seconds. Then he passes behind a tree. Then he reappears. The sergeant's breathing is steady. His finger does not leave the trigger. But it does not press. The German walks past. The sixth man appears. The seventh. The BR gunner 2 meters to the sergeant's left shifts his weight slightly. Not to fire. Just to adjust. His barrel is pointed at the column. He is waiting for the word. No word comes. The 8th German passes. The 9th. They are moving at a steady pace. No urgency. No awareness. The sergeant's jaw tightens. His eyes do not blink. He tracks the 10th man, then lowers his aim slightly, not away from the target, just down. Fractionally, his finger slides off the trigger. It rests against the trigger guard. He does not speak. He does not signal. He simply does not fire. The squad sees this. They understand. No one fires. At 15:52 hours, the German column has passed the midpoint of the American line of sight. Approximately 30 soldiers have moved through the trees so far. The pace is steady. The fog thickens slightly, reducing visibility further, but the shapes are still discernible. The Americans remain frozen in position. The BR gunner glances toward the sergeant. The sergeant's face is turned toward the road. His expression is unreadable. The BR gunner looks back at the Germans. He does not adjust his aim. He waits. A rifleman near the end of the line shifts his eyes toward the man next to him. The second man does not react. They both remain still. The confusion is not spoken, but it is present. This is not the expected sequence. This is not how engagements unfold. Something is wrong, or something has changed, but no explanation has been given. The Germans continue walking. Some carry rifles at the ready. Others have them slung. One man near the rear is limping slightly. Another is helping him, one arm over his shoulder. They move slowly, but they move. Time begins to feel distorted. Seconds become longer. The act of waiting, of not acting, creates its own pressure. The squad is trained to respond, not to hold. Holding without purpose is disorienting, but there is no clear reason to break position and no order to withdraw. So they remain. At 15:56 hours, The last visible German passes out of sight into the tree line on the far side of the road. The column has moved through completely. The road is empty again. Fog settles back into the gaps between trees. The Americans do not move. They continue watching. The sergeant remains in position, rifle still aimed at the empty space where the Germans were. He does not lower it immediately. He waits another 30 seconds. Then he lowers the rifle slowly, resting it across his forearm. He still does not speak. The sergeant's name was Staff Sergeant Carl Emerson. He was from Wisconsin. He had been with the 101st since training in Georgia. He had jumped into Normandy on D-Day. He had fought through the hedgerows, through the liberation of Carentan, through the jump into Holland. He had seen men die. He had killed men. He understood the mechanics of combat. He knew when to fire, but he was looking at something that did not fit the immediate tactical picture. The German column was not advancing. It was relocating. The men were not in assault posture. They were moving with the gait of exhaustion, not aggression. Some were wounded. They were not a threat to his position. They did not know his position existed. Emerson also understood the larger situation. Bastogne was surrounded. The entire sector was collapsing into chaos. Units were scattered. Supply lines were cut. Ammunition was limited. The squad he commanded had fewer than 10 rounds per rifleman. The BAR had 1 magazine left. There was no resupply coming. Every round mattered. If they opened fire, they would reveal their position. Even if they inflicted casualties, the Germans would return fire or call for support. The Americans would have to withdraw, likely under fire, through terrain they did not control, with limited ammunition and no clear fallback position. The tactical benefit of engaging a column that was not threatening them directly did not justify the risk. But there was something else. Emerson had been watching the way the Germans moved. He had seen the man with the limp. He had seen the others helping him. He had seen that they were not scanning for threats. They were simply trying to reach wherever they were going. He made a calculation. Not a moral one, not a philosophical one, but a tactical one with a human variable. He decided that firing would cost more than it would gain. He decided that letting them pass cost nothing. He did not explain this to the squad. He did not need to. He simply did not fire. At 16:03 hours, the sergeant rose to a crouch. He motioned with his hand, a flat, downward gesture. The squad understood. Stay low. Move back. One by one, the soldiers withdrew from the stone wall. They moved quietly, slowly, maintaining dispersion. No one spoke. No one looked back at the road. They followed the sergeant as he led them northwest, away from the road, deeper into the forest. After 50 meters, the sergeant stopped and raised a fist. The squad halted. They listened. No sounds of movement behind them. No indication that the Germans had detected their presence. The sergeant waited another minute, then motioned forward. The squad continued moving. By 16:30 hours, they had covered 300 meters and reached a previously identified rally point near a collapsed barn. The sergeant established a perimeter and allowed the squad to rest. Canteens were passed. No one ate. There was no food. The BAR gunner sat against a tree, his weapon across his lap. He looked at the sergeant once, briefly, then looked away. He did not ask. The sergeant did not explain. 2 other soldiers exchanged glances. One shrugged, the other nodded slightly. That was all. At 17:15 hours, a runner from another unit arrived with orders to fall back toward Bastogne proper. The Germans were pushing closer. The perimeter was contracting. The squad packed up and moved out. By nightfall, they were integrated into a defensive line on the northern edge of the town. None of them mentioned the road. None of them mentioned the Germans they had not shot. There is no official record of the encounter near Marvy on December 22, 1944. The 101st Airborne's after-action reports for that day list multiple skirmishes, withdrawals, and defensive engagements around Bastogne. None mention a squad observing but not engaging an enemy column. Staff Sergeant Emerson did not file a report. The incident was not considered significant enough to document. No contact had occurred. No shots were fired. In the broader context of the siege of Bastogne, it was a non-event. No member of the squad was decorated for actions on that day. No commendations were issued. No inquiries were made. The decision not to fire was not questioned because no one outside the squad knew it had been made. The German soldiers who walked past the stone wall left no record either. Their unit, their names, and their destination remain unknown. Whether they survived the battle, whether they were captured, or whether they were killed in subsequent fighting cannot be determined. They are one column among thousands that moved through the Ardennes in December 1944. The gap in documentation is unremarkable. In the chaos of the Bulge, thousands of small encounters went unrecorded. Units were fragmented. Communication was sporadic. The focus was on survival, not record keeping. What mattered was whether positions held, whether lines collapsed, whether ammunition arrived. A squad that saw the enemy and chose not to engage left no trace because there was nothing to trace. The line that no one crossed existed only in the moment it was not crossed. Once the moment passed, the line disappeared. Staff Sergeant Carl Emerson survived the siege of Bastogne. He was evacuated with trench foot in early January 1945 and returned to duty in February. He remained with the 101st through the end of the war. He returned to Wisconsin in late 1945 and worked as a mechanic. He did not speak publicly about his service. He attended a few reunions but stopped going after the 1960s. In 1989, a historian researching the Ardennes campaign interviewed him by mail. Emerson provided brief answers to questions about his experiences at Bastogne. When asked about any moments that stood out, he wrote, "Mostly just cold and waiting. We saw Germans a few times. Sometimes we shot, sometimes we didn't. Depended on the situation." He did not elaborate. He died in 1993. The BR gunner, whose name was Private First Class Leonard Hayes, returned home to Pennsylvania. He worked in a coal mine until 1978. He did not leave any written accounts of the war. In a 1981 interview for a local newspaper, he was asked if he had any particular memories from Bastogne. He said, "It was cold. We didn't have much ammo. You had to be careful about when you used it." 2 other members of the squad survived the war. One died in 1968, the other in 2001. Neither mentioned the road near Marvy in any surviving correspondence or interview. The German soldiers who crossed that line are unidentified. Their fate is unknown. The stone wall is still there. It runs along the same dirt road southeast of Marvy, now paved and widened. Trees have grown taller. The forest looks different. The fields around Bastogne are quiet. Tourists visit the town. Memorials mark the siege. Plaques name units and battles. There is no marker for the road where nothing happened, no plaque for the line that was not crossed. No record of the Germans who walked past or the Americans who let them. What remains is absence, the absence of gunfire, the absence of casualties, the absence of documentation. 40 meters of frozen ground. 2 groups of soldiers who saw each other and did nothing. A sergeant who made a calculation and kept it to himself. A squad that followed his silence. The war moved on. The line dissolved. The moment ended. No one recorded it. No one needed to. It was simply one of 1,000 decisions made in the Ardennes that winter. Decisions that left no evidence except the men who lived through them. And now they are gone.